The pregnancy test shook in my hands as I stared at the two pink lines. At 25, I wasn't afraid of being pregnant. I was afraid of telling my traditional Asian family that the father was Alexander Wu, heir to the Wu global enterprise. Olivia. My mother's sharp voice cut through my thoughts. Come downstairs now. Your cousin May has something to tell us about you. My heart sank. May had seen me leaving the private hospital yesterday after my first prenatal appointment. Alexander had insisted I use his family's private medical facility, but I should have known May, who worked as a receptionist there, would spot me. I descended the stairs of our modest suburban home to find my entire family gathered in the living room. Mom, Dad, my younger brother Kevin, and cousin May, who wore a self-righteous expression that made my stomach turn. Tell them what you saw, May, my mother demanded, her arms crossed. May's eyes gleamed. I saw Olivia at Wu Memorial Hospital yesterday. She was in the maternity ward. She paused dramatically. She's pregnant. The room erupted in chaos. My mother started wailing, my father's face turned purple, and Kevin just stared at me in shock. Is this true? My father demanded. I lifted my chin. Yes, I'm pregnant. And before you ask, I know exactly who the father is. Oh, we know who you'll claim it is, May interjected with a sneer. The same man you've been lying about dating for the past year. Alexander Wu. Please, as if the heir to Wu Global would look twice at someone like you. I'm not lying, I said firmly, even as tears threatened to fall. Alexander and I met at the charity gala where I was coordinating the event. We've been together for a year. Enough. My father slammed his hand on the coffee table. No more lies. First, you waste your business degree working as an event planner instead of joining the family restaurant. Now you make up stories about dating one of the richest men in Asia. Dad, please, I reached for my phone. Let me call Alexander. He'll explain everything. May laughed. What, you'll call some random number and have one of your friends pretend to be him? My mother, who had been quietly crying, suddenly stood up. I saw you having lunch with that delivery boy from the restaurant last week. He's probably the real father, isn't he? You're just trying to cover your shame with these ridiculous stories. My heart clenched. She'd seen me with Tommy, Alexander's personal assistant, who had been delivering documents about the new charitable foundation Alexander and I were setting up together. Mom, that wasn't enough, my father roared. Either tell us the truth about the father or get out. I straightened my spine, one hand protectively covering my still flat stomach. I am telling the truth. Alexander Wu is my baby's father. We've been keeping our relationship private because of his family's high profile and some sensitive business deals. G-out-t, my father's voice thundered. I won't have a liar under my roof. No daughter of mine would make up such dishonorable stories. My mother grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the door. Pack your things. Until you're ready to tell us the truth, you're not welcome here. An hour later, I sat in my car outside our house, tears streaming down my face as I watched Kevin place my hastily packed suitcase in the trunk. He was the only one who'd come out to say goodbye. I believe you live, he whispered, hugging me. May's always been jealous of you, and Mom and Dad, they're just stuck in their old world thinking. I squeezed him tight. Thank you, Kev. But please don't get yourself in trouble defending me. As I drove away, I pulled out my second phone, the secure one Alexander had given me for emergencies. He answered on the first ring. Olivia, aren't you having dinner with your family tonight? Alex, my voice cracked. They know about the baby. May saw me at the hospital, and they didn't believe me when I told them you're the father. They threw me out. The line went silent for a moment. When Alexander spoke again, his voice was cold with fury. Where are you now? Driving to Sarah's place. She said I could stay with her. No, he said firmly. Come to the penthouse. You're carrying my child. You belong with me. But what about keeping things quiet until after the merger? Forget the merger. Alexander's voice softened. You and our baby are more important. I'm calling my lawyers right now. In 2 weeks, everyone will know exactly who you are and what your family has done. I pulled over, finally letting myself break down completely. I thought they'd believe me. I thought they'd be happy. They'll regret this, Alexander promised. But first, come home to me. Let me take care of you both. As I drove toward the city, toward Alexander's penthouse that had become my second home over the past year, I thought about my family's faces as they threw me out. They thought I was lying to cover up some shameful secret, but they had no idea what was coming. In 2 weeks, they would learn the truth, not just about Alexander and the baby, but about everything. The charitable foundation we've been building together, the educational programs we developed for underprivileged children, the reason I'd chosen event planning over the family restaurant. They'd learned that while they were believing May's spiteful gossip, I was helping create something meaningful with a man who saw my true worth. 2 weeks, I whispered to my baby. In 2 weeks, everyone will know the truth about us. The next 2 weeks in Alexander's penthouse felt like living in a different world from my family's judgment. While they probably imagined me struggling in some cheap motel, I was helping Alexander plan our child's future from 50 stories above the city. The DNA test results are ready, Alexander announced one morning, setting his tablet aside. Would you like to see them? I smiled, running my hand over my small bump. We both knew he was the father, but his lawyers had insisted on official documentation for what was coming next. Your mother called the company again, he added softly. Demanded to speak to me, claiming her daughter was spreading lies about the Wu family. My heart clenched. What did your secretary say? Lisa handled it perfectly. Told her all communications should go through our lawyers from now on. He joined me by the window, wrapping his arms around me. Are you ready for tomorrow's announcement? Tomorrow, the day the Wu Global Enterprise would announce its heir's engagement and upcoming child. The day my family would learn just how wrong they'd been. I'm ready, I nodded. But first, I need to send them something. An hour later, a courier departed for my family's house carrying an envelope. Inside was a formal invitation to the Wu Global Enterprises annual charity gala, along with a simple note. If you want the truth, come tomorrow night. Olivia. The next evening, I stood in front of my full-length mirror, admiring the custom-designed gown that elegantly highlighted my small baby bump. Alexander appeared behind me, handsome in his tuxedo. They're here, he said, checking his phone. Your entire family, including Cousin May. They're being seated in the main ballroom now. I took a deep breath. Let's give them a show they'll never forget. The ballroom of the Wu International Hotel was packed with Asia's elite, media personalities, and business leaders. From my position backstage, I could see my family seated near the middle, looking uncomfortable in their best clothes. May kept craning her neck, probably hoping to catch a glimpse of the real Alexander Wu to prove me wrong. Right on schedule, Alexander's father, Wu Chenming, took the stage. Welcome, honored guests. Tonight, I have a very special announcement. My son, Alexander, has found his match. A woman who embodies everything our family values: intelligence, compassion, and vision. The crowd murmured excitedly. I saw my mother grip my father's arm. Please welcome my son, Alexander Wu, and his fiancée, the future mother of the Wu heir, Olivia Zhang. Alexander took my hand, and we walked onto the stage together. The gasps from my family's table were audible even over the applause. May's face had turned ghost white. Thank you, Father, Alexander spoke into the microphone. Olivia and I have been working together for the past year, building not just a relationship, but a vision for the future. While we kept our relationship private, we've been developing the Wu Educational Foundation, which Olivia will head as its executive director. I stepped forward, one hand resting on my bump. The foundation will provide educational opportunities to underprivileged children across Asia. Every child deserves the chance to pursue their dreams, even if those dreams don't match what others expect of them. My eyes met my father's as I spoke those words. He had the decency to look away first. After the speeches, as we moved through the crowd accepting congratulations, my family approached. My mother's eyes were red from crying, my father looked like he aged 10 years, and May seemed to be trying to disappear behind them. Olivia, my mother's voice trembled. We didn't know. You didn't want to know, I corrected her gently. You chose to believe the worst about me instead of trusting your daughter. The DNA test results, Alexander added, pulling an envelope from his jacket and handing it to my father. Since you required proof of my child's paternity. My father's hands shook as he held the envelope. We don't need to. Oh, but I insist. Alexander's voice was polite but firm. After all, you threw your pregnant daughter out based on baseless rumors. The least you can do is read the proof of your mistake. May finally spoke up, her voice small. I'm sorry, Olivia. I was jealous. When I saw you at the hospital, I assumed. You assumed I was like you. I finished for her. Someone who would lie to get ahead. But I've never needed to lie about who I am or who I love. Please, my mother stepped forward. Can we start over? I felt Alexander squeeze my hand supportively, letting me know this was my decision to make. Starting over would mean forgetting what happened, I said carefully. I won't do that. But moving forward, that's possible under certain conditions. Anything, my father said quickly. First, you'll need to understand that my life, my choices, and my family with Alexander are my priority now. Second, May's gossip and attempts to undermine me stop today. I looked at my cousin pointedly, and finally, you'll need to accept that I'm not the daughter you tried to force me to be. I'm someone better, someone I chose to become. As they nodded eagerly, Alexander led me away to greet other guests. Proud of you, he whispered. I smiled, feeling our baby move. I learned from the best. Sometimes you have to let people feel the weight of their mistakes before you can build something new. The night continued, but something had shifted. My family watched from their table as I moved confidently through the crowd of Asia's elite, finally seeing me for who I truly was, not their obedient daughter, but a woman who had created her own destiny. 2 months after the gala, I sat in my office at the Wu Educational Foundation, reviewing applications for our first round of scholarships. My baby bump had grown considerably, making headlines in every society magazine across Asia. The story of how the Wu heir had fallen in love with an ordinary event planner had captured the public's imagination. A knock at my door interrupted my work. Come in, I called, expecting my assistant. Instead, my mother entered, looking nervous but determined. Since the gala, my family had been trying to make amends, though I kept them at arm's length. Olivia, she said softly, I brought you lunch. She held up a bag from our family restaurant, your favorite dumplings. I smiled slightly, remembering countless childhood meals. Thank you, Mom. You can set it on the desk. She placed the bag down but didn't leave. Instead, she looked around my expansive office, taking in the floor-to-ceiling windows, the elegant decor, and the wall of awards the foundation had already received. This is all yours? She asked, wonder in her voice. Alexander gave me full control of the foundation. I explained. But everything we've achieved, that's because of the work we're doing, not the Wu name. Mom nodded, then suddenly burst into tears. I'm so sorry, Olivia. When I think about how we treated you, I sighed, hormones making my own eyes water. Mom, please sit down. This isn't good for either of us. She took the visitor's chair, wiping her eyes. Your father and I, we were so focused on our own plans for you that we couldn't see you had better ones for yourself. Is that why you're here? I asked gently. To apologize again? No, she straightened up. I'm here because your father and I want to donate the restaurant to the foundation, for your education program. I stared at her stunned. The restaurant had been in our family for 3 generations. We wanted to become a training facility, she continued, to teach culinary skills to underprivileged youth. Your father, he realizes now that forcing children into family businesses isn't right. Everyone should choose their own path. Tears fell freely down my cheeks now. This wasn't just an apology, it was acceptance. Just then, Alexander appeared in the doorway. Sorry to interrupt, but we have the doctor's appointment in 30 minutes. He paused, seeing our emotional state. Everything okay? I nodded, smiling through my tears. Mom just gave us our next project. That afternoon, as we left the doctor's office with new ultrasound pictures, Alexander squeezed my hand. Twins, he said wonderingly, 2 little girls. 2 little girls who will never be told their dreams are too big, I added firmly. We drove to my parents' house for the weekly family dinner, a tradition we'd started a month ago. May had been notably absent from these gatherings, having taken a job in another city after the gala. As we walked in, I saw the restaurant's blueprints spread across the dining table. My father was pointing out potential classroom spaces to Kevin, who had recently graduated from culinary school. Ah, you're here. Dad called out, his face lighting up. How was the appointment? Instead of answering, I handed him the ultrasound pictures. He stared at them, confusion turning to shock. 2, he whispered. 2 granddaughters. 2 future Wu CEOs if they want to be, Alexander said with a smile. Or chefs, or teachers, or anything else they choose. My father's eyes filled with tears, something I'd never seen before. I was wrong, he said quietly, so wrong about everything. But these girls, they'll never know that grandfather. They'll know the one who supports their dreams, whatever they may be. Later that evening, as we all sat around the dinner table, I watched my family interact with Alexander, discussing plans for the restaurant's transformation, debating baby names, and arguing good-naturedly about which twin would be born first. "What are you thinking?" Alexander whispered, noticing my thoughtful expression. "About how different this is from 2 months ago," I replied. "About how sometimes people can surprise you if you give them the chance to be better." He placed his hand on my bump, feeling one of our daughters kick. "They needed to learn their lesson first. You taught them that." "We taught them that," I corrected him, "by being true to ourselves, even when no one believed in us." My mother called for our attention, raising her glass of tea. "To Olivia and Alexander, and to our granddaughters. May they grow up knowing that their dreams are valid, their choices are their own, and their family will always support them." "Always," my father echoed firmly. As everyone clinked glasses, I caught Kevin's eye. He winked at me, the only one who had believed me from the start. I winked back, grateful that at least one person in my family had seen the truth when everyone else chose blindness. The twins kicked again, as if joining the celebration. These girls would grow up in a very different world from the one that had rejected their mother. They would grow up knowing that the truth always finds its way to the light, that love doesn't need validation from others to be real, and that sometimes the biggest dreams are the ones most worth fighting for. My family had learned these lessons the hard way. But as I watched them now, planning my daughters' futures with such joy and acceptance, I knew that sometimes the hardest lessons lead to the most beautiful transformations.